Hey peeps, Sir Bradley here. We here at Deadpan Studio are presenting a show called BSF, and we would like to take the time to inform our audience that you will most definitely hear vulgarities such as balls, motherfucker, jack, jack, and whore, and possibly some stories of anal leakage. So please enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of BSF, where the F stands for facts. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, because we do a lot of BS, and so sometimes you just got to make sure.
Yeah, Kat, what's the BS stand for?
Bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of her thing now.
Kat's a little low on energy tonight.
It's bullshit. There you go.
I don't
Bullshit.
have to forcefully say it every single freaking episode.
I thought that was your thing, though.
No, you made it my thing because you keep looking at me making me say it. I don't really want to.
I'll take it.
Okay.
No, we don't have no, shut up. Okay, the point of the title is to be a little coy about it. We don't have to just be like, bullshit.
Well, I put my nose in it every episode. And
Yeah, I know. But we don't have to be so forceful.
Anyway,
we could spit on it next time. I don't have to force it
there
in.
you go.
I'm sick this week and I'm tired.
Yeah.
So you're sick and tired.
I'm sick and tired. And I'm sick and tired. And also I'm sick and tired.
This week, I am your host, the Matt.
Sir Bradley.
I'm Kat. It's the same freaking people every week.
No, we had different people last week.
Same main three people every week.
That's because we're just that awesome.
Yeah,
Only for us.
I concur.
Yeah.
We'd like to maybe apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry for last week.
Last week's episode.
We were trying to connect so many people.
So fucking fun, though. I mean, it was probably the best time I've had on this show.
Yeah, you just wait for Cards Against Humanity, which is next week's
I'm
episode.
sure. I'm expecting.
And the Cards Against Humanity will be in on Friday.
I apologize in advance for that episode. It's going to be fun, but also
Just the thought
terrible.
kind of makes me come in my pants a little. So
Do not say that
very
word.
exciting.
Do not let children listen to next week's episode, for the love of God. If you do, shame on you.
I mean, it's kind of bad if you let your kids listen to this, but
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. Don't let them.
So,
well, that's what the disclaimer's for.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Give you, 90 seconds a heads up that it's
God,
going
it's
to
a
be
whole
pretty
90
fucking
seconds.
bad.
Jesus.
And you know what? We still didn't get any emails about it, so
We're just not gonna.
apparently people like trash in their ears.
I don't know.
I think what happened was when I was connecting everybody's headphones and microphones in together, I think when I was trying to get it all hooked up, I either knocked a knob or a button, but I think our sound quality is back to what it was the past few weeks, which was pretty good.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
I
let's
hope
hope.
so. We recorded like two-minute things and listened back to it, so let's
Yeah, it
just hope.
sounds pretty decent, so, okay.
Okay. Here, get your hand off your mic thing. I think it was making a sound.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, anyway, as always, the business. If you would like to reach us and gripe at us about how awful last week's
No one's
episode
going to
was,
email us.
still got to give them the
Do it
opportunity.
quick. Do it like a drug commercial. Here's all the... Here's how it can help. Here's the peaceful scenery. Oh, you're experiencing this? Well, this can help. But then go through the symptoms. real
Email
quick.
us. Email us. It can be cathartic.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it can be cathartic. Deadpanbsf@gmail.com, deadpanstudio18@gmail.com, as well as the website deadpan-studio.com. You can also catch us on Podbean, which is also one of the places in which we stream the app as well as the website, deadpanstudio.podbean.com. Just do a little search, find our awesome DPS logo, and there you go. We also stream on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and Spotify.
You need to learn how to say that way quicker, like a drug commercial.
I have to learn how to not breathe when I do it, so
Yeah.
unfortunately, I require oxygen.
That's what she said. Also,
Yeah. No, by the time this episode drops...
wait,
What? Go.
boy.
All right, go
Okay.
ahead.
First of all, you still need to give me the login info for Silky on Twitter.
Oh.
We've like never posted on there. There's like 7 followers, and we're following like 5 people. But on Twitter, we have Deadpan Studio Podcast.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And on Facebook, it is now only, and for the time being, only Deadpan Studio Podcast. They both have the same name, the same description.
Yeah, but you also be able to get all the information for the different shows,
Well, yeah, obviously, on those
stuff like
pages.
that.
Yeah, but again, like I
We're a
said,
limited crew and trying to run multiple
Yeah.
Facebook pages and Twitters and all that stuff. It's just, I sound so old. I said the Twitters.
well, it's not,
it's
not
difficult.
about it being hard. It's just we
Yeah.
didn't do it.
Well, day job,
I
home
know, but,
obligations.
well,
and
okay, just
Yeah.
stop with the...
being honest.
I know, but it's, people don't care. They're not coming here for our sad lives.
Yeah, you never know.
No, they're really not. I'm pretty sure they're
some of
not.
our lives are pretty fucking sad.
I'm pretty sure the one person in Australia and the one person in the UK doesn't really give a
At
shit.
least one person.
At least one person. I'm pretty sure they don't give a shit what happens in our day-to-day lives.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah, we like Harry Potter too.
I do.
Oh, okay. Anyways, my point is that in the future, as more shows come out, especially from people that aren't us, they might want a separate yet still connected page
Yeah.
on Facebook, Twitter, or just one of those, both of them, or maybe a totally different site, but it's still going to be linked to all of the main Deadpan stuff. But right now,
Yeah. So if you
There
notice on
is-
Facebook, the Soaking Nostalgia is no longer
Is-
Soaking Nostalgia. It is now Deadpan Studio
yeah,
Podcast.
well, it's not.
It just transferred you right over.
Yeah.
So nothing.
Well, I don't know if they. I unpublished the page first of all, so only.
Well, you kind of have to, or else you have two same things.
No, you can unpublish and publish your pages
Yeah.
whenever you want. It's when you delete them, it gives you like, I don't know, a week, 10 days to change your mind.
Yeah.
Or if you're merging pages, the process, like Facebook has to approve it, and then it takes a while. I still don't know if that process is going through, but I unpublished the Soki one because we literally, the last time we posted was like April.
Yeah.
It
Even
was-
if not, email us about it if it hasn't worked out to your liking.
It was like April.
Email us.
Actually, they're not
We have
going to
a
email
free-
us. Stop begging for it.
I know, but
At
I
this
don't.
point, I would take an email saying "fuck you" and be happy about it.
Yeah, just a T-shirt, people.
I don't think
It's
they
stylish.
want it.
Anyway,
I want the fucking shirt. I'll fucking.
We already have one.
you'll see another.
Yeah.
By
Say
the
the
time
same
this
thing.
episode drops, if you're in Glasgow, Thursday, August the 15th, will be the Sip Shop and Stroll. Yes, I'm kind of pandering. But it's going to be from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m. on the square, and it's going to have a farmer's market, kids zone, wide variety of vendors, a cruise in, an extended store hours for businesses on the square, a dunking booth, and a live performance by some band called The Unpredictables. I've never heard of them, so
We would not pander. No way.
no.
A little bit.
A little bit.
But
And also, by the time this
No.
drops, Alan has auditioned. I'm not going to say for what, but he has auditioned for a local role around here, and he got a part. So congratulations, Mr.
yay.
Alan.
Your soundboard is never on.
Well, it keeps going to
An
sleep.
important role.
It is an important role. So we'll wait for him to announce that next
Yes.
week.
Yay!
Congratulations to
Yes,
you.
congratulations.
So Christy auditioned and possibly
Yeah.
got something if she wanted it.
Yay. And we're just enjoying recording and
You need
putting
a
it out the pod.
soundboard. You never use it.
Okay, fine.
You just let it go dark for the whole episode and set it up for nothing.
It's because I talk a lot and look into
Yeah, I
the mic.
know.
So,
To be fair, you got a lot of shit going on.
yeah, that's true.
I know. But you never like ask for help. You just let it go dark and sit there.
I like doing my thing. So what are we doing this week? Well, as we were talking about last week, if you could make it through the garble, we're
And I would really like to know if you did.
yeah, I really would.
Seriously.
We said that we were going to do an episode on modern day cults, more specifically the Nexium cult.
Not the medicine for
No,
what's the medicine
For
for?
your heartburn.
yeah.
Not for
If
your
it wasn't
heartburn.
still advertised everywhere on TV, I wouldn't keep saying that. So,
Yeah. Do you think the heartburn medicine is like, damn it?
because you know for a fact that the listeners that are overseas are like, why are they talking about some heartburn medicine?
Or they don't know about the medicine and the cult, and they're just like,
Yeah.
what?
And they've spelled Nexium awfully wrong.
Well, big pharma in the States is, we have freaking commercials for heartburn medicine.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of insane when you think about all the commercials
for medicine.
for medicine.
Yeah.
Commercials for drugs.
Worst
Hey, go
side
tell your
effects.
doctor to give you this.
Remember Yaz?
I know the name, but, oh, yeah.
Cause blood clots?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Birth control is very important, but not if it adverse does something bad to you. Like,
Some of us take care of that permanently.
So
that's true. But for women, it's a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah.
They literally won't let you do it unless you have kids or you beg a doctor or multiple doctors for 5 years.
Yeah, it's...
They fucking fight you about it. It's like,
Yeah, they
dude.
really do. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want no little bastards.
Are you sure? You're not 35 and you don't have 2.5 kids already. I can't sterilize you.
love
It's
the
like,
half a
bitch,
kid.
I don't want no fucking kids.
We're either having a little person or literally half a kid, no legs.
Well, I have 2 kids and a dog.
I guess there's always supposed to be a baby in the house, so that's the 0.5 because it's not like walking.
Yeah. So it still counts as a half a person.
Half a person.
Sorry, liberals.
Shit. Shit.
Oh, I'm gonna,
That's important too.
maybe I'll actually get an email for that one.
At least it'd be something.
Something.
Hell if you're fucking paying attention. Damn.
All forms of legal birth control are important.
How much
Stop blocking
office
us.
does the MAD have to push out in order to get emails from people? Let's not find out.
Hey, far left, you're fucking idiots. Far right, you're fucking idiots.
Damn straight.
Everyone's just a little dumb all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sad when our dumb dog is smarter than most of them.
No, Lidu, my dumb dumb.
So we're
So
talking
cute.
about...
If we post pictures of cute animals, people will...
Funny cat video.
No, I'll post a picture of me with my doggies.
Meow, meow.
Puppies.
Cute puppies. I got a cute puppy.
So we're talking about cults today, and
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's heard of a cult in some fashion. I'm not talking about Blue Oyster cults. I'm not talking about cult of personality.
Damn it, you had to fucking... I was going to say that was my favorite cult. Personality.
Don't drink the Flavor Aid, but they marketed it as
Yeah.
Kool-Aid
Yeah.
to make it the headline pop more. You know what's fucked up?
What?
Remember we went, it was,
There's a lot of fucked up.
what is it? Today is Wednesday.
Yes.
Monday, we stopped at the dollar store, or Family Dollar to be more specifically, and remember I had mentioned, I don't think was it on mic that I mentioned that it wasn't actually Kool-Aid that those people drank in Jonestown?
Yes.
It was
it's like
Flavor Aid.
Flavor Aid, yeah.
Yeah,
you did.
we
You said
freaking
it,
saw
yeah.
Flavor Aid at Family Dollar. I was like, look, babe, it's Flavor Aid.
Yeah.
I had never seen it before then.
Yeah.
I had seen
Flavor
Kool-Aid.
Aid. Okay.
Yeah, Flavor
I
Aid.
did not fucking buy
Don't-
that.
Not Haterade. I buy a lot
I mean,
of
I
that.
guess it still sells, and I mean, it's off-brand or store brand, but I had never actually seen it.
Yeah.
And then I learned that fact,
Isn't it
and there it is.
It'd be kind of sad, that you
Yeah.
can't pay 26 cents for a pack of Kool-Aid. How fucking broke you got to be to save those 2 pennies?
Well, in reference to that, the Jonestown, they were self-sustaining, quote unquote, and they were in
Yeah.
South America, so they couldn't really go to a corner store and be like, "Hey, can I have some Gatorade?" They
Well,
probably had to,
the town closest to him was 200 miles away,
yeah, so they probably had to import that shit in.
and it was probably cheaper to get that,
Yeah.
generic stuff, or maybe they.
I mean,
the
why
town
would you
makes it,
spend the extra money
if you're just gonna,
if,
if everyone's just
it
gonna die.
doesn't matter?
Yeah, no, that gives you plenty of reasons if it's
That
not
was
going to
probably
matter.
something they brought over with them, actually.
Who knows?
Well, because they were supposed to give up all their money and possessions and things, and the group was supposed to provide for each other and be self-sustaining. So they probably weren't buying brand name stuff
Probably.
when they had a few bucks to go to the store to get something they couldn't make because you can't make Kool-Aid mix.
Yeah.
You can grow
So-
fruit and put that in water, but that's just fruit water.
So those that don't know,
So they probably brought it with them when
I
they
think it's
first
called
came.
pooch.
So
They
for,
let it
for
sit long
the
enough.
possible one or half a listener that doesn't know,
Half a listener. The 0.5, the baby. Don't let your baby listen to this.
I think most of our listeners are half listeners.
yeah, yeah.
You
If
know
they were a
what?
full listener, they'd email.
Hey, sometimes I put on a video or a podcast and I do some chores, pay half attention.
But what are cults?
It's okay.
Anybody want to say?
Yes.
I've got an official definition, but
Just read the.
Nobody asked you car driving by.
I swear.
Cults are a social group defined by its unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs, or its common interest in a particular personality, object, or goal. It is most widely associated with new religious movements. Now, what does that mean exactly? That means people think of, hey, I'm charismatic. I have these weird beliefs. I want all of you to believe it too, but I want you to put me as the figurehead, right?
It's usually like a charismatic person that sort of gathers ideas from other places or starts out saying, oh, we're about this, like, improve yourself, improve the community, blah, blah, blah. But then it just
improve your
devolves into something real fucked up. But by the time you realize that, you're in too deep and you're brainwashed, or you just...
Yeah.
Or they're threatening your safety, or they have something on you and you can't leave, or you had kids while you were in there and they're like, oh, you can't get your kids back, or...
Yeah. And see, the interesting thing is there are so many different subcategories of cults. Of course, the ones that are most famous are usually the doomsday cults. The world's going to end on this date, so we're going to do all these things, make all you people follow us, and, we're going to die on this day, where we're going to be taken away by this spaceship or something. It's going to be the end, and it's going to be a new beginning on this certain day, and then it never usually happens. Personality cults, cult of personality. That would sort of be like, there's political cults too, but that would be sort of like following staunchly either just a Democrat or just a Republican, no matter who it is. I used to say that there was a certain person we know, that I'm not going to say who, but I've always said that if Adolf Hitler ran on the Democratic ticket, they would still vote for him because they were Democrat.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No, I just wish that politicians stop fighting each other and
like that.
Yeah. Political cults, destructive cults, that are actually racist cults.
Wow.
Well, if you think about it, the KKK is a racist cult.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their right to vote, but
Yeah.
Jesus.
Shit like that. Like, they're still, it's so freaky because you see historical photos of these kinds of things. And you're like, oh, that was in the past. And then you freaking see them at a freaking rally, and you're like, holy shit, this stuff is still, it's not just
And not
this old grandpa on the porch saying stuff. It's like a
Get
whole
off my
lot.
lawn, you blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, like, it's just like a little organization with, like, costumes still portraying
And which it used
fucked
to be,
upness. It's like,
it used to be one of the largest organizations in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it used to be the most popular, too, and which is not glorifying it in any way. Please don't, audience, please don't think that. But I'm just recounting history. Do it?
Stand up.
stand up.
No.
No.
No, this is Huffington Post posted something about a time.
Oh, no,
My Apple Watch.
your Apple Watch. There's still,
The watch was telling you to stand up.
no, there's like an app on there that, there's like sensors on the bottom. It's kind of freaky. It reads like your, like,
Your pulse and your heart rate. Yeah.
what's that thing called?
Lifeline.
No. Vitals.
Vitals. Okay. Yeah.
I was like, what is that word? Yeah, but there's an app on there from your sister because you got that from your sister.
Yeah, I don't know how to take it off.
I think it's called Breathe. It like tells you. I think it kind of tells when you're getting like stressed or too excited about something. It's like, okay, like take a deep breath, like calm down.
Anyway, there's still a couple more different types of subcategories.
But which one is
a terrorist cult?
Oh yeah.
And there's also the more popular polygamist cult. Well, sister wives, TLC.
Is that show still? I don't think that show's still on.
Yeah,
Well-
pretty sure it is.
It is.
Huh.
I think it's still on. Yeah.
Well, good for them.
Also, the TV show Big Love.
It's still on.
No, that it ran for 5 seasons, but it was pretty popular on HBO.
Yeah, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, late Bill
Yeah.
Paxton, yeah.
I watched like a season of it.
I couldn't bring myself to watch it. But then again, when it was on, I was, knee deep in Sopranos, so I couldn't. Didn't think I could focus on both of those.
I watched some of Sister Wives, not like consistently, not like first episode to last episode of any season. It was just sort of like every now and then. But I never watched the Big Love one.
Yeah.
But it was just more to just kind of see because the dynamic is just
It's a little weird seeing a guy
wild.
like go from house to house, fucking different. Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like,
Big
even on the
houses, too.
TLC show, he has multiple houses,
Yeah.
and he'll say a different one each night.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So it kind of begs the question, why are cults so popular?
Because people are lonely and they need community.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't
Yeah.
claim to be a therapist, but I would love to know. Would love to know.
Well, I
Charismatic leaders pray.
they prey on fear.
Yeah.
And usually the fear stems from, like you said, being alone. It's human nature to want to be in a cohabitative unit.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean-
the tribal mentality.
Yeah. Well, you can be the most introverted person, but you still need humans. You
Yeah.
still need
We all suffer
something, even if it's just a couple people. You still need.
Yeah,
a
I mean, we
community.
all suffer from herd mentality here. We're hoping and praying the herd mentality will cross over into our audience and have them all listen to us. So,
Fully listen.
yeah.
Fully
I
listen.
mean, it gives people a sense of belonging. You know, and everybody wants to belong to something. As introverted as anybody is, it's like most of the introverts who sit at home and play video games all day are usually playing video games with other people online.
Talking to people online.
Yeah.
Have you been spying on me?
Brad, there's some things you just don't know.
Multiplayer games.
Yeah. But, you
I
know,
just like to play with myself.
and how?
Damn, there's not a boo sound on this soundboard. Boo. You don't need more sounds on here, dude.
Eventually.
You only have two cheering things and then the rim shot, and that's
Well, it's because I like to remain positive.
yeah. We got so many empty slots. We need some more. Jazz it up.
Well, so, you know, like I said, if it is human nature, you
You
know,
know, if you put anything negative on there, that cat would just constantly push that button whenever I speak.
I mean, I can't promise I'm not going to.
you think you're alone in that? Half the time she goes, babe.
I'll just have recorded myself saying that and then just hit this. Babe, there's different babes over there.
Now, the funny thing is, you could tell she was not feeling good yesterday at all because she laughed at almost everything I did. Whoa. Yeah, that never happens. I mean, I may get a chuckle every now and then, but most of the time it's, oh, God.
You do make me laugh, but
I know, but sometimes it's like,
stupid
You
shit.
guys were not intimate yesterday,
No.
and she laughed at you. That
No.
would be,
No, absolutely not.
yeah, well, good. That's good.
So, segue from that, what?
Sorry, last night was kind of a blur because I didn't feel good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Segue from that, you know, kind of, you know, blurry, not being able to think clearly. Why are these cults so dangerous? Anybody?
Extortion, blackmail, physical harm,
Yeah, it covers a lot of those things.
coercion. Did I say that word right? Coercion.
Yeah, coercion.
They take all your stuff,
Yeah.
make you give it away, and then you have
Kind of
nothing.
sad that these followers don't have the intelligence not to.
That's the thing.
Well, it's
they
like
do.
yeah, but it's a process. You don't just walk in to a meeting and it's like, boom, give us
These-
$10,000,
see, the
sell
thing
your
is-
house, and you're in the cult. It's like,
These cults work on
Your
a
brain.
form of brainwashing.
yeah.
You know, it's anybody can fall susceptible to those.
I suppose.
Could it be similar to like grooming as well?
Yeah, it's sort of. I mean, it's like you take, for example, and I hate to use that. I'm just using, you know, like, for example, you go into martial arts. You know, you are pretty much, if you go to one martial art, you are pretty much made to focus on one martial art, you know.
Right.
That is pretty much saying, and I'm using this term very loosely. Believe me, I'm a huge fan of martial arts. I love martial arts. I am not meaning anything derogatory. I'm just
Bruce Lee all over the
yeah.
fucking wall here,
Yeah.
people.
So I'm not meaning anything derogatory. I'm just using this as an example. It would be like saying, okay, our martial art is the best. Come to us. We understand. We know how everything works within you. We can make you focus. We can make you understand. We can make you the best thing that you can be.
Sounds like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, Gracie's. So you have that. So that calls to people. I know for a fact that it would call to me a little bit. You know, come in. You know, it's like cliques in high school. Be with us. We're your friends. You know, we understand you.
Even
We're from the
cliques in
same
the
place as
church,
you are.
like I wasn't
Yeah, church is religion. Our religion's better. Our form of Christianity is better. Our form of this is better.
Well, not even that, but I experienced
let's not
the
get
click
into
thing
that.
as I got older, like the junior high school thing. I experienced the click thing even in church. This one girl I had, okay,
Yeah. It's sad.
this one girl
In church?
turned out, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I mean, we're kids. It's not like the grown-ups so much, but it's, I don't know. Well,
yeah,
I mean, it is. Well,
then the yeah,
it is, but I
parents and
know what
adults,
it's
yeah,
like
I've seen
with
that.
kids. Like, it's, yeah.
But I mean, the three main points that makes them really dangerous too is not just brainwashing, but they also have extreme devotion, and that's either to the leader, their way of thinking, their religion, whatever you name it. The focus is on that, and they make you feel like nothing else matters, just that or this person. And over the years,
Sorry.
Bless you.
obviously over the years, just by the news and these and horrific events happening, it can lead to harm to not just yourself but others, as even death. Which leads us into. I've got a list of some of the most notorious. Before we get into talking about Nexium, some of the most notorious, famous / infamous ones that I wrote down was who here remembers the California-based Heaven's Gate?
I do.
I remember that. I remember the name. I don't
Yeah.
really remember the details.
Marshall
of it.
Applewhite saying that.
Was that an apocalyptic one?
No, they were more of a.
I can't remember.
The Hale-Bopp comet is coming this way, and they're coming to
yeah.
take us home. So they killed
like-
themselves, and they made themselves eunuchs before.
Jesus,
death.
doing all that, and then you're just
Yeah.
gonna die.
Their website's still active today.
Fuck. Pretty
They're still
sure
looking
someone
for-
needs to shut that
They're
down.
still looking for recruitment, but they can't because of the First Amendment.
Who would join? Why
Because
would you?
they quote unquote changed some of their philosophy. So.
Oh, yeah.
And the evil leader is obviously now dead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure your bad PR of all your people dying is going to get you no new members.
Who here remembers Shinrikyo?
What?
Shinrikyo.
Sounds familiar.
Do you remember the Tokyo subway sarin gas from about maybe a decade ago?
I do not.
So basically,
what was the
followers-
Tokyo one?
I think we.
Yeah, it's Tokyo.
No, I
Yeah.
said, what was the Tokyo one? What did they do?
They released nerve gas into the subway tunnel.
That sounds really familiar. Yeah.
I think we've confirmed that I'm kind of uncultured. Over past
Uncultured.
episode. Yeah.
Okay, here's one of the more
I
famous
made a
ones.
pun.
I didn't hear it. I'm so
I
sorry.
said uncultured.
Uncultured.
Okay. Yeah. No. There you go.
Of course, we were talking about Jim Jones and the People's Temple down in Guyana, where over 900 people were dead, including the U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan, who was murdered.
Yeah, they fucking shot him.
Murdered.
They were like, oh yeah, you can leave and take these 12 people. Just kidding. Boom.
And of course, Janet Reno, our former Secretary of State's, feather in her cap, the Branch Davidians, David Koresh, the siege on Waco. That was
Waco.
fun. Anybody who's watched Netflix lately has probably seen or heard about the documentary about the Rajneesh movement.
I need to watch more documentaries.
Rajneeshnapuram. It's about
Naparam.
it's about this. I can't remember the first name, but his last name is Rajneesh, and that wasn't his original name. That's just the name he gave himself. And he was like,
Yeah, they also
he was like
gave
one of those
themselves a lot.
gurus. I'm giving you my knowledge, and you all follow me for that. And he's very rich, so he had thousands of
Money
followers
helps.
from across the world in the U.S. Went out to a town in Oregon that was almost deserted, and they bought the town, bought the
Is that
land.
where they
and
made their
building-
own town?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Wild
They have the
Wild
name of it,
Country
yeah.
is the name of the documentary on Netflix.
Wasn't it like
It's
technically
a
like...
sort of like a sex guru group too.
Yeah.
They had like public orgies and
Didn't they like actually, like they bought the land and
Yeah.
they technically were kind of legally a town actually?
they were a legal town.
Like a
It's
legal
just
town,
the town
but
over had the population there had a very big problem with them.
Because what they
over
were
there.
doing was real messed up.
And so they were since they were afraid of getting shut down and having issues. So this is what was led to their downfall, was they did a mass poisoning in that town at a number of their restaurants.
How do I know so much about like all this bad stuff?
Children of God, that was one of the heavier religious ones. That
I mean, it's called Children of God.
well, the reason I bring that is because that's more notable for the celebrities that grew up into it, like Rose McGowan. That's for you, Tiny. That was his girl. Growing up, he said that's gonna be my next ex-wife. And he was saying all the time. Rose McGowan,
Going for you, Rose.
River, and Joaquin Phoenix were raised in that.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, I was talking to. I was talking.
You had a thought.
I was talking. No, I was trying to figure out how to word it. I was talking to an ex about what we were going to talk about tonight, and that was brought up. That's what she thought we were talking about.
And of course, the most famous one out there was the family, Charles Manson,
Oh
who
yeah.
ended up murdering a pregnant Sharon Tate.
Who doesn't know the name Manson?
Yeah, who was the wife of Roman Polanski, the director who is not allowed in the U.S. or he will be arrested for child molestation.
Jeez.
Yeah. So with that base of information, we're like, okay, so we're going to talk about a cult. What the hell is Nexium?
Again, not the heartburn medicine.
So, what is Nexium?
Not the heartburn medicine.
No. It is actually something that is happening, well, did happen recently, and it has some prominence by some of the people that have been in it, and it's actually gone through court recently.
Indeed. What, sentencing?
Yeah, they're waiting for sentencing. I think they come back in a couple of weeks for that.
And they start the process in May, I think,
Yeah,
of
they
this
did.
year. Is it this year?
Sounds like somebody done some research.
Yeah, I think we all did.
I think I remember a few things.
That's the thing about these types of topics. You can go down the rabbit hole with these real fast.
My research included watching the video that Kat shared,
You're welcome.
and then I read the Wikipedia page.
Oh, okay. Well, that counts. So how
I
did
wrote not a single word down.
I didn't either.
okay? I wrote down points to make sure. Like, how did it start out? It started out as actually a pyramid scheme.
I know,
Yeah.
because the guy loved that structure
Amway.
of business.
Yeah, he loved Amway.
Yeah.
When did this start? Because I actually
In the
I've
late
been
80s.
to one of those. And
Late
I'm like,
80s, early 90s.
That's when
Yeah.
it started? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's possible.
Amway's been around since the early 80s, I think. I've actually been to an Amway meeting. I've been through a few pyramid scheme meetings that try to sell you something
Yeah.
for the rest of your life. And
Then you get stuck in it.
that's how timeshares are actually done, too. It's like you watch this seminar, which is explaining their own version of the pyramid scheme.
Oh, you get 3 free dinners at this restaurant and a
Yeah.
free show ticket.
Tickets, yeah, but you come listen to this, and then you sign up with us. And then
Yeah,
you
sometimes
get
it works out
timeshare.
well.
It did for your parents.
Did for my parents. I think
Yeah. There are some legitimate groups out there, don't get me wrong. There are some legitimate groups, or else there wouldn't be any in
Well,
existence. Multi-level marketing companies, sort of like Mary Kay is,
Oh yeah, Mary Kay's hardcore that,
is
What sucks, 'cause
Consumers Byline.
yeah, consumers violate.
Yeah.
What sucks about Mary Kay being that is like, I would like the products, but I don't want to keep being asked to join.
Yeah.
It's like, I do
And then
want
if
your
you do
makeup,
join,
but
and you have to get 2 friends to join, and they have to get 2 friends to join.
well,
so on and
here's
so on.
to put $100 down for your starter kit. I'm like, I don't want to sell it. Can I just come to your party, get the free gift, and then can I just buy from you? I don't want to sell it. But no, you
Yeah.
can't.
So,
I just want to buy it.
like all pyramid schemes, eventually time runs out on them.
Yep.
Mary Kay will eventually run out. Time will run out on it eventually. But you just have too many people buying makeup.
Well, there's too many stores that sell it.
Yeah.
Drugstore products have gotten exponentially better over the years. There's more colors for everything. There's more. Sometimes there's a little too much, and it's kind of like, okay, you guys are like forcing more products. We don't really need another eyeshadow palette, but like, there's so much out there, and there's like subscription boxes you can get.
Yeah.
So there's not really.
They play on people's insecurities.
They
Yeah.
do.
I don't see a need for Mary Kay much longer.
His started out, it was like big booming business that's first, and then it died because of the pyramid scheme. His dealt with discount groceries and goods. It was founded by a man named Keith Rainier. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his last name.
I think it's Rainier.
You might have.
Pretty sure it's Rainier.
Yeah, I did one. I was young and dumb and didn't know what the hell was going on. Still wet behind the ears. And
You probably have. I'd say 90% of the people out there at some point in their life will.
You know what's funny? I learned
Even if you
about
haven't yet.
I learned about not only pyramids, not that, of course they didn't say scheme in school, but I was homeschooled, but they did this thing called co-op. It was like every Friday, I think. It was basically this adult that's also a parent is like hella good at science, like they literally went to like college for it, or this person's really good at astronomy, and your parents like aren't like they can buy the books but they can't really explain it to you. So it was like getting the parents that could also be teachers together, and social studies was one of my favorite ones, and I learned about pyramids. Of course they didn't call it schemes, and also like the umbrella, and it's the businessy side of things really interests me.
Yeah.
So I've known about that since I was like 15.
But who was this Keith Rainier?
Insecure. What?
No.
it was Keith.
Yeah, Keith Rainier. According to his father, when he was 13 years old. Now he was before he was 13. He was kind of introverted. He didn't have a lot of self-esteem and all that stuff. Typical
Had
kid,
no
you know.
friends.
Yeah, his dad looked at him one
Really
day.
stiff gym socks.
His dad told him one day that you're special. There's something, you're going to do great things. You are so amazingly special. You're one of the most special people on the planet. When he did, he said it was like a light switch went off in his kid's head. From that day forward, this kid walked around like he was Jesus walking on water, quote unquote. Like he would be, talking to these, at 15 years old, talking to 6, 7, 8 girls at once and telling them, but you're the special one. You're the only one in my life. You're the one I want to be with.
Oh, barf.
Yeah. So
Don't do that, guys. Don't fucking do that.
So, he grew up with this already huge ego on himself just because of one little thing his dad said to him. He made himself out to be more intelligent than what he actually was.
Wasn't he claimed he could,
He said by the time he was 1 year old, he was
1 year
speaking
old.
in full sentences.
yeah,
When he was, 3, he was playing the piano,
or like taking lessons for
lessons or something
classical-
like that, yeah.
Taking classical piano lessons.
Yeah. And then he went to this technical college that was more focused on like biology and mechanics and philosophies and stuff like that.
I
He
mean,
studied-
some people do start their kids out on like instrument stuff pretty young. I mean,
yeah. And he worked as hard as he could on that. And now he claims he graduated with 3 degrees. Records have
I've
shown
done that too, but
3.
3.
But apparently records have shown that he's barely graduated with like a 2.12 GPA. That's out of 4.0, people.
It's not great.
Now, to be fair, I flunked out my freshman year in college with a 1.31.
Because you party too
I
hard.
partied way too much.
Too much.
I hardly showed up to
when it's time
class.
to party, we will party hard.
Sounds like
Andrew
fucking did.
WK. He was sort of like a cult of personality for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, you've got this guy with this massive ego who's very charismatic, obviously, because he's got all these people after him.
Yeah, because he's not ugly, but like he's not like, holy shit, you're so.
Well, it depends on how he's
Amazing.
made up, because there were some where you're just like, motherfucker.
He did look better with facial hair, but
So,
that's me moving my mic.
Because it hides some of the ugly.
And some of the
That's
crazy.
why the beard.
Hide the crazy behind the beard.
yeah, that's why I go mine.
Babe.
So, eventually, this person who's got this massive ego can't do any wrong, thinks he's God's gift to the earth.
But he needs affirmation
Yeah.
and admiration.
And he tried getting that from his consumers by right. But like I said, the bottom fell out of it. And he was actually fined $40,000 by the court for running it because it was a pyramid scheme. And he actually signed an agreement that said he would no longer participate in multi-level marketing product types of things anymore. But this was back in the, mid-90s. So how did we get to today?
You take a trip up north?
Yeah.
What it was?
Yeah. In 1998, or well, in the late 90s, he met a woman named Nancy Saltzman. And
Oh, Nancy.
That's the last name of my best friend.
no, hers is Saltzman. This is Saltzman.
Oh, Saltzman. Sorry, the way you said it was Saltzman.
Yeah, Salzman. Saltzman.
Yeah.
So they met, and she was enamored by him. You know, some people just have that natural charisma about them that draws you in. Eminem has it. That's why both black and white people love him. Unless you're Machine Gun Kelly.
True.
Yeah. Will you bring me a Sprite?
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't snap your finger at her.
Fucking snap at me. Did you fucking snap at me, boy?
That wasn't me.
You want this fucking drink?
Yes, but it wasn't me, honestly. You can probably tell.
dare you.
If you were on headphones, you could probably tell it came from that mic.
How dare you, Matt? The Matt.
You had that look of shock, like, I can't believe that worked.
Oh my God, she fucking bought it.
Which is the whole basis for this whole episode. Exactly. I fucking bought it.
Holy crap.
So they met up, and like I said, she was completely enamored by him. She was overcome. What she thought he was the most intelligent, most sincere, most ethical person on the planet.
Ethical person.
So she was, I can't remember, I think she was a psych nurse of some sort. She had a degree in psychology, and she was more into sort of like linguistic training and stuff like that, which is kind of, when you take somebody who has great charisma and then her training, that's a dangerous combination. So what do? They found a business called Executive Success Programs, ESP. Doesn't that sound neat? ESP.
ESP.
Yeah.
ESP.
Sometimes I think I have that ESPN stuff.
Oh, what channel is that?
Sports.
So eventually, they decided that they were going to change that because they actually started getting a little bit of heat on them. They were going to change the name of it, and they changed it to Nexium.
Well, gee, I wonder why they got heat on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an explanation as to how they come up with Nexium out of the fucking letters that they used.
Especially when the is with a VM instead of UM.
How did they get that name?
Yeah.
Or do we know?
I don't remember. It's probably just something he thought of, like, oh, that sounds
He
cool.
probably dreamed it and was like, I have a brilliant idea, baby.
Hey, don't ruin it for things for people who dream great things like I did with Orlando.
Yeah, but you didn't start a cult and, like,
Yet.
extort people.
That's right, yet.
Got my eye on you. I live with you.
And, yeah, I'm gonna be high up that chain too, motherfucker. I come up with the name.
I made that sign, so.
So there were some major
Yeah.
there were some major players in this Nexium group. Now, there were some that are very popular, some that are not known, but they're major names. We have, of course,
Dude. Ortho.
Massive Lisp.
What the fuck?
There was a Claire Bronfman. She's hard.
Bronfman?
I'd like to
Bronfman. Bronfman.
I'd like to apologize for those with speech impediments out there.
Sorry.
She's an heiress to the Seagram's alcohol fortune. So like.
Oh, the
yeah.
alcohol one. Okay.
Yeah, and she's like, ooh, alcohol.
Well, no, I read that.
Of course she'd fucking know that.
No, I read that earlier, and I forgot about the alcohol. I was thinking of the ginger ale because that's my favorite ginger ale. But yeah, the Seagrams makes more sense.
We also have Nancy and Lauren Saltzman, mother and daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, so the mother brought the daughter in.
That's bad parenting right there. Don't bring your kids to a cult.
And
Don't let your parents bring you into a cult.
the most famous one out of all of them is Miss Allison Mack. We've mentioned her a time or two through the course of the episodes of both Soaking Nostalgia as well as BSF, just in mere passing.
I was also picturing the wrong person when you were, every time you mentioned her name.
You must have been thinking about Kristen Kruk. Ironically,
I
Kristen
don't think
Kruk
so.
I don't know.
I was picturing something from a different show, but that's the only name I can. The only
Chloe Clark's best friend from Smallville, is who we're talking about. For those that don't know.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about the flute girl from?
Allison Hannigan?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I can only picture her.
No, she was just in band camp.
Yeah, whenever I read that was my first immediate thing.
Yeah.
Because she's the only Alice
Well, it's been
I know, or Allison, excuse me, that I know.
It's been forever
from
since we
Hollywood.
watched Smallville. I want to watch.
Well, you know what? You all are probably not the only ones, too. So to be
Yeah.
clear, this is Chloe Sullivan from Smallville.
Sorry, Alton Hannigan. I didn't think it was you. I just couldn't picture it.
One's a redhead, one's a blonde.
Yeah.
So
Every time I pictured her face, I was like, "That's not right," but that's the only face I
Allison
can
Mack,
think of.
she was actually recruited from another Smallville alumni. Kristen Kruk, the girl who played Lana. She was actually part of that group for a number of years, and then she brought in Allison Mack, and then she left after a few years. But Allison Mack stayed on and actually became Keith's number 2 over the years.
You know why I don't know these names? Because I'm not cultured.
You're going to be cultured.
No, I had to look everybody up. So.
That's all right.
I want to watch more Smallville, but now it's going to be like, "Oh, you're in a cult later."
Yeah, I know, right?
I can't picture the Lana actress though.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, but I just can't.
My late brother liked her. I was like, no, I kept arguing. No, Chloe's the cute one. No, Lana's the good one. Whatever.
All right.
So,
Different strokes for different folks.
So, with the name Executive Success Program, ESP,
And
you can't really can't really get what they're about with Nexium. What would you think that what they would have been about if you just heard that the name of it was Executive Success Programs?
mind control.
If you didn't know that they were a cult, that
Teaching business people how to business better.
yeah, exactly. So
Get that deal. Buy a better briefcase.
that was the whole point of
Get that
Nexium, was to
promotion.
make everybody. They kept claiming that they wanted to make the world a better place. So they wanted to change how people thought about themselves and their fears and how to push past certain things and how to let go of certain things from your childhood. And all. It kind of sounds like Scientology, doesn't it?
Or therapy. Don't talk about that.
Keith took inspiration from
There's still two.
Scientology as well as Isaac Asimov and a few others.
Scientology's still too perfect for bad nothing.
Most of his
Bradley
stuff.
have nothing to do.
Have you all heard of the author Ayn Rand?
Ayn Rand.
Yeah, Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand.
Have you heard of the author?
Sounds familiar.
She's a classic author.
I can't say I have, but
I talk like I know if that's a male or a female. Could be male or female author. I just know
Sometimes they
it's a
keep that
classic
secret.
author. Yeah, it's a classic author. And a lot of the philosophical, things that they believed in Nexium actually followed a lot of her books, her stories, and the beliefs in them.
jeez.
Yeah. So that's the front. That's what their whole thing was about to the public, where you come in, you're going to come in and take seminars from us. We're going to teach you how to be better in business, in your life, in your relationships, every part of your life. We're
Also,
gonna,
give us $5,000 for everything.
well, it'd be like, that's for like the intensive courses. Now, if you went for like a little 3-day program, it would be like $2,500.
Still.
And they would run you like 12 hours a day for 3 days. And you'd only get, a small break for lunch and maybe a couple water breaks throughout the day. That's it. So if you extend that and take like a 5-day intensive, which is $5,000, $1,000 a day, to take these intensives, which what I mean by intensive is that you're constantly doing something. It's like being in a 12-hour long class that just keeps going. It's like listening to David Icke. If you've ever heard of David Icke, he's one of those conspiracy theorists that at one point believed he was the second incarnation of Jesus.
Is he the one that Joe Rogan interviewed? Or
No.
No, that was
that's Alex Jones.
Okay, sorry.
He's quite different.
Well, you just said he kept talking, and you
Yeah.
said the other guy talked real
So,
fast.
what did they actually believe? When you pull back the curtain, when it's no longer these people are trying to make their lives better and they're trying to make the world better by changing the way you think about things, What were they actually about? Anybody?
I feel like I know, but I can't think.
I don't know, but us here at Deadpan Studio want to make the world a better place.
Give us
Making a better
$500.
place for
Pay us to be a
you
member.
and for me. Sorry, that was Michael Jackson.
Okay. Tell us what their mission statement is.
Tell us.
Well, actually, it was through court records. They have been found out to be a. Okay, we'll get to that when we get to the charges. There are plenty of them.
Charges are plenty.
Yeah, but they're definitely not at doing these things. Now, there are some people who went into this and left early before all the trouble happened, that they did not experience any of this underlying crap, and that they said it actually worked for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. Bravo.
Like the, was it the stuff they don't want you to know podcast? They interviewed someone who
got out of that?
got out. It was like 6 or 7 months later.
That all the bad stuff came
Someone
out.
called him and was like, yeah.
So this
A bunch
bad
of stuff's
stuff,
gonna come out.
what got them into trouble? There was a,
You know, the
Yeah, there was
sex stuff.
well, yes,
Uh,
there was some whistleblowing that happened.
Yeah.
The New York Times printed an article that they went in there saying, we're going to put out this really big article talking about how great this thing is because there's been so much success. I mean, even Richard Branson is supposedly, quote unquote, even though he's distanced himself now, Richard Branson, founder of Virgin, Air Mobile Records, is supposed to have taken some of these intensives and supposedly came out the better for it. And so that tells you there's at least some basis to that. It could do good. Well, you can do the same thing by looking in the mirror and say, suck it up, Buttercup.
Well, I mean,
But anyway,
sometimes you do need a second party to.
I do that more often, but I don't like being called Buttercup.
it'll change your life.
It's a rhyme.
So the New York Times printed this article that shined light on the stuff that was happening underneath. There was also Forbes and Vanity Fair printed a couple of articles, and one of his former colleagues, one of Keith Raniere's former colleagues, Rick Ross, who is sort of like a whistleblower to cults and stuff like that, actually stole one of their manuals on how they run these things and how this stuff works and printed it
Sorry.
for the world to see. And that stuff and the articles which told stories of some of the underlying things that happened got the attention of the FBI.
Yeah. You know, the
been a
FBI is always
denial.
looking out for stuff.
So what were some of these things? You're right. A lot of sexual stuff going on.
Yeah.
Keith Raniere has been accused of and found guilty of child pornography, as well as having an intimate relationship for somebody the age of 15.
And possibly someone else. But
And
there's
yeah,
not.
possibly someone else. Kidnapping,
Sex trafficking.
sex trafficking, racketeering.
Yeah. Lots of racketeering.
So what does that all mean?
Also, like,
really?
also individual members are getting in trouble for, like, money things.
Wasn't there some type of attachment to the Clintons on this in some way?
There's even an attachment to the Dalai Lama, okay?
Oh, yeah. Didn't the Dalai Lama
A lot of the
fund
people
it?
that took these intensive were donors to the Hillary Clinton campaign for her first run as president against Obama.
Yeah.
So, it's just crazy. There are a lot of people that are tied to this group in one form or another. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. So what did that all...
with the Clintons?
So what is all this stuff... Yeah, don't get me started on Hillary.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm just kidding. So what did all this mean that I just spouted out about the different types of things they were into? Well, to be more specific, of course, we mentioned just now that he had an inappropriate relationship with a 15-year-old.
A child, not not a young woman or underage woman.
Yeah, it's not like
thing.
the 50s anymore.
It was not great then either.
So there were a number of things that they did on top of that. Let me go exactly through this because it's some pretty heavy stuff.
A lot of it, the individuals also did some fucked up stuff. Is that his mugshot?
Yes.
Gotcha. That's funny.
Anyway,
Wasn't there
it's
one
taking
woman-
too long to look through. So,
I can't remember her name, but there was one woman who kept an immigrant
that was what the Claire
in
Bronfman.
like a locked room for like 2 years.
And do you know why that is?
Why she kept her?
Because
The lady would have been
when
like,
you're-
"Hey, this bitch is crazy."
when you're dealing with this group, you've got all these people that have raised Keith up to a level unheard of. You know.
Yeah, they celebrated his birthday for a whole week. Didn't they?
Yes, every member was supposed to give $2,000 to put towards the celebration that week.
For a whole week.
Yeah.
Just for that guy.
He-
Oh,
A lot of their secret philosophies dealt with polyamory, which he said men are supposed to be polyamorous.
but women aren't.
Women aren't. They're supposed to be celibate. I'll take one. I'm talking a lot. Oh, there's one
We are
left.
talking a lot.
Yeah.
Wait,
So Bradley has given me a cough drop.
his last one. But you just eat those just
To be
like
honest, these are like the fake ones. These are just more like candy.
Yeah. The company served as a recruiting platform for him. He was recruiting sexual slaves. Actually, they were bringing in women to be his sexual slave.
You want to talk about the inner sorority called
Yes.
DOS?
At the head of this little secret organization, which Keith called a sorority, was an element called DOS, or the vow.
DOS.
Yes, and the letters stand for something in Latin, but basically it means
Oh, they do.
DOS is actually the sub name for it. There's like a Latin name for it, but then DOS, dominant over sub. Which, of course, the BDSM crowd might know what I'm talking about here.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, but basically it means that
I don't know.
Well, I mean, dominant over sub kind of is
Yeah, it means-
self-explanatory
as a-
without.
But in this instance, it's specifically you're a female and you're completely subservient to Keith,
Yep.
who they were required to call. What was his nickname? Vanguard,
Vanguard.
which was named after an arcade game, Vanguard, in which he used to take that 15-year-old to.
Oh, fucked up.
Yeah. His other partner, one of the other founders, her name was Prefect. So Vanguard and Prefect, you were only supposed to refer to them as those names.
Well, at least in the interview I listened to on the other podcast, it was in the classrooms you had to call him Vanguard, but
Yes.
outside you could
You can
say
call him
Keith.
Keith, yeah.
But yeah,
But
Vanguard.
so as with any pyramid scheme, you're recruiting these sex slaves. There's actually levels. Like Kung Fu Sash's levels. Yeah.
Of course, they didn't quite know
And
that.
every time you moved up a level and spent all these tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars, you get a little stripe ironed on. You just keep moving up, iron it on, until you reach another color, so on and so forth. So once you have reached so far, if you were one of Keith's liking, he said, I want her. You know, like the bands used to do back in the 80s, the hair metal bands, I want her.
Bring them on back.
But that was rock and roll back then.
Yeah.
They were willing.
They were very willing.
I mean, they paid to get there. so-
Unfortunately, these women that were chosen by Keith and Allison were brainwashed.
Yeah, they were pretty much grooms and
This group, DOS, yeah,
didn't they
it was
also-
supposed to just be women empowerment. Just women empowerment.
yeah.
Now, there was another one for males, I cannot remember, but it was sort of like a protector type thing, very alpha male type group. Whereas this is supposed to be very subservient. Be all the woman you can be, but be subservient.
Yeah, you're powerful, but like bow down.
Get on your knees. And you can take that any way you want because that's how he took it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any way he wanted it, that's the way he needed it. Any way he wanted it. I make light just because a lot of this information, it is actually pretty sick.
Yeah. Yes.
So, to get into this group, what did you have to do?
You had to, you had
This
to
is
give
where they
over.
got branded. All right.
Mm-hmm. But to get to that point, you had to give up collateral.
And what is collateral?
Oh, it was like you had to
You had to give them something
make yourself
that
vulnerable.
completely. Whether
Nudie pics.
nudie pics, sex pics, or you admit to a crime that you haven't been convicted for.
You had like write it down.
You had to write it down, and had to be truthful. Because if most of these things were not truthful, then you just be like, I don't care. What are you gonna prove? Mm-hmm. But no, these people were scared shitless that if something were to happen and that they weren't subservient, this information would get out. This is after they wanted to get into this. Mm-hmm. I want in, but I'm scared to get out.
Yeah.
And the clicking is the cough drop in my mouth.
Yeah.
I keep moving it just because it's got writing on it, so it keeps poking me. While I'm talking.
She said.
Keeps poking me.
Keeps poking me while I'm talking. So yeah, that was one of the things too. One of the ladies who got out of it, she was talking about the horrors of it. There was a ritual. You were taken over to Allison's house, and you were divulging this information, and then you were told to show up at this place, and when you go to this place, you're blindfolded. In one instance, during this ritual, they tied this girl down and had some other random female, she couldn't see who it was, go down on her.
Oh.
Yeah, just a random other female, do it. And then after that was done...
Wait, did she... So just like, did she know that was going to happen, or was it just...
So they knew that was going to happen.
So they just like strip and then...
Yeah, strip, tied her down, and had the girl go down on her.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make... Okay.
It's all about
Well, if it's all about...
It is all about power.
Kidnapping them, then I guess, yeah.
But that just shows that with them putting them through these quote-unquote paces, it shows their devotion to Keith.
Yeah.
She could have left there that night and gone to the police. She didn't. She stayed a little while and then left. But then she got branded with a cauterizing pen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not like a tattoo or like a...
No, because Allison was actually proud of that. She came up with the branding.
Yeah.
She admits she came up with the branding.
Does she have it, or is she...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got it.
I didn't know if she was exempt from it, or...
Yeah, she said tattoos mean nothing. She said, I've got 2 tattoos, and they're worthless. But if you get branded, that shows your devotion. That shows this means something.
Sure,
So-
you're fucking psycho.
No shit.
Brainwash shit.
And you get it right above the groin.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so here's the real sickening part, and just showing what sort of grip he had on everybody, and so did she. That branding, which it wasn't like a cattle brand, you just stick them once, be done. No,
Yeah,
it was
was
a
it-
pin.
was
So
it-
it's like a very much more painful tattoo that it's gradual until it's done.
It couldn't have actually been made for bodies.
No. It was made to cauterize, there was a doctor there that was watching it. That was part of the group. So this
Well, yeah,
came from the
'cause-
doctor's office. He was a surgeon. Or
Well,
she
there was
was
a lot
surgeon.
of doctors and lawyers in it because you had to pay,
Yeah.
have so much freaking money
Yeah.
for all this shit.
So, but they put these symbols on you as that brand, sort of like DPS.
Excuse me.
But just unlike DPS means Deadpan Studio. These are actually, they said it actually means this symbol means this and this symbol means that, but actually what it is just a combination of both Keith Rainier, K&R, and Alice McAn's initials,
Right.
put in a certain way so it looks like a logo.
Right.
Not in a cool way like the original Avengers cast morphing their symbols together. Not cool like that, but real fucked up.
Exactly.
Not friendship, brainwashing.
But it wasn't too long before this lady's specific one got branded and left. So
Yeah. Well, that was a video I sent you, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like she didn't want it, and she was nervous, but she also didn't say no, and she could kind of agree to it, so she was trapped in her own head of like, well, I don't want to be freaking branded. Like, she thought it was going to be like a tattoo or something more
Yeah.
like that, but then it was like, oh, I consented, but I also I'm not consenting in my brain, so it happened, but then she did get out, but then not before she got the branding.
So all this
That
crap.
process, oh my God, it sounded awful. You know, the one's recording the camera, one's or 2 or 3 of them's holding the other one down.
Yeah, that's
You
the
have to be
thing.
held down.
In court, that was one of the things on the prosecution side was a recording of a branding.
I gotta be held down just for one freaking shot, like, I swear to God. When I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I had not only the nurse that was doing the shot, I had another nurse holding down my arm, and my mom literally laid across my legs. Not because, like, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to get this. This is the painkiller. This is the one to make me go to sleep. But it's just like my body doesn't want it, so I'm like freaking out. It's like, you know it's coming, but you hate it. So, like, for that, I imagine you have to have freaking 5 people hold you down.
I know it seems like we're not getting as detailed as we possibly want to, but there's a ton of information on this. We're just getting the high points. Yeah.
High points of this low point in history.
Yeah, no kidding. So when I was talking about the charges, see, all this stuff got out in these articles as well as the manual and all this stuff. FBI started looking at them, realized it was a sort of pyramid scheme and all this crap was actually going on, and they had a lot of whistleblowers.
Yep.
So there have been some arrests.
Good.
Yeah. There was an article that came out that gave almost every lurid detail out there that Keith found out about, and he took off to Mexico.
Oh, I did.
Oh, yeah, he took off before the authorities showed up.
That's when you know that they know that they've done bad.
Yeah, Allison Mack was with him. And so was the
That poor lady.
leader, Salzman.
The prefect.
Yeah. So, in March of last year, see, this has happened just recently. In March of last year, 2018,
This is a
Keith
recent.
Rainier was arrested by Mexican authorities and extradited to the U.S.
So they were like, get out of our country.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
The next month, in April, Allison Mack was also arrested. Yeah.
In Mexico or in America?
In Mexico.
Oh.
Now, in July, Clara Bronfman was arrested in New York. And then,
Hide in New York.
yeah, subsequently, both mother and daughter Salzmans, as well as Kathy Russell, who was the bookkeeper for the group, who knows all the dirty secrets, they were all arrested. Most of these have, all of them except for Keith, pled guilty.
Well, yeah, of course, he's not going to freaking plead guilty.
Well, they have all the evidence and everything.
He's going
He's the
to
savior. Why would he?
Yeah.
he's gonna drag it out as long as he can.
You know, the thing is, that's the thing about cults. When you're in them, it is impossible, it seems like, to get out of them. But once you are finally free of them, you're
like, well,
the clouds clear in your
yeah.
brain.
Well, it seems like you can't leave because it's like everything's so tied up in this because
Yeah.
it becomes your life. But then you get out and you're like, well, why didn't I do that freaking
Yeah.
6 months ago?
Take for instance Allison Mack. She'd been in there since 2006.
Golly.
That's over a decade being brainwashed by this man. Can you imagine even how long it would have taken after he gets arrested and she's separated from him for the clouds in her head to part? It took a little while.
Yeah, it probably took a while.
She pled not guilty at first. And they were all charged together at first. And then they were all put in separate trials.
Well, because they all did slightly
Because
different
most of them all
things.
ended up pleading guilty.
Yeah.
You know. So she wouldn't even look at him most of the time because she was ashamed of herself for what happened to him. She blamed herself. And I'm not making any excuses for her. There's some sympathy there because she was brainwashed. But it just
Over a decade of conditioning like that's going to alter you no matter what.
But after she was away from him for, 6 months, she turned around and pled guilty. She pled guilty in April of this past year.
Oh, golly.
So it took that long. And right now she is waiting on sentencing.
yeah.
She could face a minimum of 15 years. This, actress who, people grew up with, such a fall from grace. She's probably broke because she funneled all this money into this
probably.
company. The Seagram's heiress, she pled guilty. She's waiting. I think.
I don't think
none
she's
of them
getting
have
that.
been sentenced yet.
I don't think she's getting that secret money.
No. They were.
Go to someone else.
They're all waiting to be sentenced. I guess they were trying to wait and see how the trial went with Keith. I am not calling him Vanguard.
No.
He was just found guilty this past month, it's August, in June. June 19th. He was convicted of racketeering, sex trafficking. So we're waiting to see how many years he's going to get for that because, sex trafficking, has a minimum of, say, 15 years. Racketeering has another minimum of, depends on the state he's being tried in. I can't remember. If it's New York, they've got some pretty stiff racketeering laws because of the New York mob. So he could be in there for, 30 years for that. He's 60 now, which means no matter what, he's going to be an old man if he gets out.
Yeah.
He will probably die in prison.
Probably. Jeez.
Yeah. Kind of a roller coaster of.
Well, didn't some of the women sign a plea deal against him, or? Yeah,
a lot of them they pled guilty, and then they would, be on the prosecution side against Keith.
Yeah, they were offering up information, I guess, to make it a little bit.
Yeah, they would lessen their sentences, but they're the inside people, so they're telling the truth about him.
It's like, we were there.
Dominus obsequious sorium. DOS, that's what it was. Dominus obsequious sorium. Dominant over sub. Yeah, that's pretty much what it means in Latin. Sorry, I just popped up on my screen. I saw that. That's what it was.
Way to go, Latin.
Yeah.
They say Latin's dead, but then we keep using it to name things.
Yeah. I've got a video here. I showed Kat the full version of it. Well, she didn't watch. She watched like 10 minutes of it.
It's an hour and a half long.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half long.
Actually, I got through 13 minutes, thank you. But then I was just like, what the hell?
Allison Mack. Excuse me. Allison Mack interviewing Keith is sort of like an intro video about his different philosophies and things like that to give to new members and also to the media. It is very, very sad to see how far she fell and how just hanging on every single word this man who speaks in circles.
Yeah, circles upon circles. He's a freaking slinky of conversation.
Yeah.
I like that. Slinky.
This is a video entitled The Authentic Human. He starts at, you start out maybe a couple of minutes, you're like, oh, he's just speaking philosophically. Then the longer you go on, you're like, this dude does not actually have an answer. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He just knows how to talk.
He's just pulling words out of...
I mean, it kind of leads me to my next question, which has to do with authenticity. Because then it seems more like the creativity comes from a place of just originality or soulfulness, if you're looking at it in a positive light.
Authenticity and creativity are an interesting match. We don't like to think of ourselves as robots. And if you are coming off as robotic, most people say that somehow
I wish you could see this. Just seeing the look on her face.
Because we're not robots. So what
She's like so enamored with him, and it's so sad.
When someone's authentic, you feel them. You have this feeling of a soul there.
Looks like a lost puppy.
Not a robot, not some pre-programmed,
she's looking at
contrived face or something along those lines. It just seems to come naturally from their experience of existing on this planet. From the time they are conceived and they become a child and grow and all of this thing, they gather this unique impression of existence.
Yeah, I'm already lost.
So basically, he's using a bunch of big fancy words that says every human is unique once you're born. He spoke in circles, never gave a definite definition to what he was trying to say, but this is, for an hour and a half, it was circle speaking.
And, like I said, I got about 13 minutes in, and there's one point where she's making a counterpoint, or at least arguing her view on something. I think it's, because, she was an actress, so she was kind of bringing that up, not like her specifically, but just like actors. And also, I can't repeat what they said, not because it was bad, but because I can't fucking remember. Because he's speaking in circles and she's brainwashed. But she was like, well, what about this and this and blah, blah. And he was like, he doesn't reprimand her in a cruel way, but he does it, it's so fucked up. You can see this is part of...
I don't know what you're talking about. The look on his face just made her crumble.
Well, not so much... Well, I guess it was kind of the look, but also the way he was like, no, not like that or not this. And she was like, you could see her still admiring him, but drawing in on herself for a moment to be like, oh, I spoke out of turn, oh, what I said was dumb. Not verbalizing that, but being like, okay, my point's not valid. Back to you, oh great one, I love you. And it's sad to see that, and I'm like, oh yeah, she's like so far gone in this video.
The saddest part in the whole thing, because
like she's trying to make a point, and she thinks it's good, but then he comes back, and she's like, okay, no, not me, not my points. Okay, back to you, and that's
I did watch the
sad.
entire hour-and-a-half video.
Fuck, dude.
I know. Look,
Are you okay?
I feel like crap.
Do you need one of those Coronas in the fucking fridge, dude?
Well, this was actually when I first thought of doing this. This was months ago.
Oh, okay, good Lord.
Just watching the video, there was at one point he was just saying nothing, and then she starts crying.
Yeah.
It's because the nothing that he was saying touched her so deep. She literally had, tears streaming down her face, or what little she could, because she couldn't hardly drink any water. This sick individual was making them live on a 500 to 600 calorie a day diet.
5 to 6.
Yeah, because he had a certain look for women that he preferred and was attracted to.
Was that near death?
Pretty much. So we're looking at, Allison Mack, she would run 12, 13 miles a day and have a 600 calorie diet just to fit this mold.
Was she fainting all the time? Because Jesus Christ.
People can live under horrific circumstances.
Well, yeah, but jeez.
Yeah. So.
Golly.
Cults, man.
Cults, man. Fuck.
At least the fuck sticks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oops.
A stick with a couple of oranges.
Stick with love oranges. Oh, okay.
This man, it is insane. His defense was telling everybody it was all consensual. These were all consensual adults. You were bribing them with blackmail. If you didn't sleep with him, you were going to... Threatening them with blackmail.
Can't bribe them with their own blackmail. Bribe them with freedom.
Well, you blackmail them saying, we've got all this information on you, you're collateral. You need to go sleep with him right now, or we're going to let all this just out into the open. We're going to ruin your lives.
Going to put it on Twitter.
Ironically, the day that Keith got arrested, I read this in an interview with one of the ex-members. Would you like to know what they were getting ready to do in Mexico the day that he was arrested?
What him and Allison and them were, or the whole group?
Him, Allison, and about 4 other women. They were getting ready to do a ritual. They arrested him wearing a robe.
Oh no! Were they going to sacrifice someone?
No.
I didn't get a chance to read all.
It was going to be an ode to Keith.
Oh, no.
They were all going to perform oral sex on him.
One right
after the other.
One right after.
Yeah. That 15-year-old, this is how sick it is, okay? That 15-year-old, while she was being held captive. Oh, I didn't even tell you why she was being held captive. Would you like to know? That 15-year-old was being held captive in that room for 2 years because she kissed another man.
Wait, that was the girl in the...
Yeah. Wow.
I thought it was a woman, like a grown woman, that they were keeping, that another female member was keeping.
She was 15.
Oh.
She kissed another man, and it caused Keith to lock himself in his room for a day. And then he came out and demanded she got locked up for 2 years. In that time, he would show up sometimes more than once a day to get head.
Jesus.
Yeah.
First of all, what kind of stamina?
Nexium, dog!
Jesus Christ. I don't know why that scared me just now.
Sorry, it's tension breaker. I hope they throw the book at him because he deserves it. But there's so much information in here. I mean, just pull up Nexium, NXIV as in Victor, M, NXIVM. Look it up on Google, everybody. Type in that one single little word, and you'll get a ton of articles about the crap that they did. We've only touched on a little bit.
If you're a more visual person, there's videos of,
tons of videos.
Interviews of people on YouTube, and then other podcasts have touched
Of course, if you're looking for a documentary about it, they don't have it yet. They were waiting for.
Waiting for someone to buy their...
They're all ready to go. It's just waiting to see how sentencing goes for all of them.
because
so they have an ending to it.
Very new, so...
The sickening thing about it was, after he got arrested, they kept going. They kept the website and everything running until the leaders, all of them, got arrested. Then they finally shut that down. They actually had, now, who here likes Elon Musk?
Yeah.
I'm uncultured.
Elon Musk
Tesla.
is supposed to be, he's the creator of Tesla.
He's the Tesla
founder.
guy.
One of the richest men in the world, also kind of crazy. He got in trouble a couple of months ago for being on Joe Rogan's podcast, smoking a blunt.
He wants to do lots of things in space.
Yeah, he sent his car out into space.
Yeah. Because he could, just why not?
Yeah, because there's no gasoline in that car, it's all electrical.
Plus, he owns Tesla, I guess, so he can just get another one.
So he tweeted, which the tweet has now been deleted since.
Someone's got the screenshot, I'm sure.
Yeah, he tweeted praise about the journalistic integrity of this publication called The Knife.
The Knife.
It used to be called The Knife of Aristotle or something like that.
When I heard The Knife, I immediately went to OJ.
If I did it.
But he was talking about how great the journalistic integrity was, how accurate they were in their reporting. The Knife was actually ran by Nexium.
Oh no. Yet another.
Yeah, he deleted that quick.
Yet another thing that's them, but a different name. Damn.
Yeah. They had their fingers in a lot of stuff.
Well, it's easier. I guess it's easy for cults or groups nowadays to have their fingers in lots of things because you got the internet. You don't got to go nowhere. You just make an account on something and put information out. You don't have to go door to door or hope some people are traveling through and you, come on in, Lost Wanderer, come in here and join our call. You just email someone, be like, are you depressed and looking for a group to join? Give us $5,000. We'll make you feel better. But don't do it. Don't do that.
Come join the Scouts.
Racketeering and trafficking, don't do it.
I don't know. There's just so much for that group. If you, the audience, would like some really, deep information about the way their stuff worked, you can still access the manual that Rick Ross publicized.
That's crazy.
He was sued by Keith Raniere and Nexium, and then they lost.
Because y'all are crazy.
Yeah, it's not like he stole it. He was friends with Keith and was getting good with the group, and then left because he knew some shit was going on.
Because he was like, I don't think this is right.
Yeah. So if you go to the Ross Institute online, Rick Ross, and then you pull up Nexium, it's one of the very first articles at the bottom. What is the training manual for any of the people running these seminars? It is insane. Some of the stuff you read in it. I read it.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
You watched the hour-and-a-half video like a crazy person.
Yeah. You're fucking nuts.
Of course, we're going to put everything in the...
Yeah, they'll be in the show notes.
I say description because I'm used to YouTube.
No.
Link in the description below. In
A
the
lot of times
bio.
we have too many links to put in the description, and there's only so much you can put in the
Well,
description.
we can put the main ones, like the Wikipedia,
I'll put the Ross Institute on there.
Ross Institute, probably the stuff they don't want you to know podcast.
Yeah, they did a really good one. They did an interview with an ex-member that
And maybe-
quote-unquote escaped.
And maybe just for shits and giggles, the hour-and-a-half video. You don't watch it all, but it will be there.
Spoilers, the reason this guy got out or escaped from Nexium, the guy from the podcast,
Well, he didn't so much escape. He said he just...
he left because he was broke. He's a musician.
he
Couldn't afford these seminars.
He was like, he said, it was interesting because he said it actually helped him because he wasn't.
Oh, yeah, there's some basis to looking at yourself and going, "Suck it up, Buttercup," for every single part that has drug you down in your life in your own self.
Yeah, he said there was I'm sure he didn't attend every single type of seminar, but he was like, there's ones, where people Or like you would sit down and like I guess the leader of the group or the teacher would be like, okay, let's look into your childhood. Why do you react to this as an adult the way you do?
Like there's an example of a lady who had this huge fear of flying. I mean, she said there were instances where she would get on a plane and she would cry and she'd have to get off the plane and try to fight to get back on so she'd make her be on the flight.
And I don't like it when you like freak out like that.
Yeah, she said it did help. Those intensives did help because then the next time she got on the plane after that, she felt this calm because it stemmed from something that happened in her childhood where her mother and father got a divorce, and her dad worked a lot and he had custody, and so he was flying across the U.S. and she was with him all the time. And, it's just some sort of
It's
small...
uprooted all the time.
Uprooted in trauma. So that's why she hated flying and it, scared her. Mm-hmm. So, but then she was able to go back and suck it up, buttercup, pretty much, these childhood memories, and then she was able to fly peacefully now. So, yeah, there is some merit to that.
It just sucks they couldn't just stick to empowering people. They had to do all the illegal bad shit.
Well, that's why it's a cult.
Yeah, I know. But yeah,
They weren't really about helping people. They were really about making money and getting kicked off.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, it sucks that the people that were... the teachers weren't more honest.
I sat around today and I thought, man, that would, certain aspects of that, that's how they drag you in.
Yeah.
That's how they get you in. Because you're like, some of that makes so much sense.
It's like you do need to...
It's the hook. Yeah. It gets you in the door.
Yeah, like I do need to reflect on myself. Like, why do I do this? Why do I freak out about this? Like, what happened in my life?
Yeah, and
let's go back.
And when you join these groups, you walk in and you already know that the people that are there, just like you, have some of the same wants, needs, and fears. So
that's the community aspect that gets you.
Yeah, exactly. So when the community comes and surrounds you and says, "Be with us.
We love you.
We're just like you."
Your
guard goes down.
Yeah.
And that's when it all goes to shit. Just be like me and hate people.
That's easy.
Now I've always said I like a person.
Make it very easy to hate people.
I like a person. I hate people, and Kat can attest to that. I say that a lot.
Yeah, you do at least
once a day.
Well, not really once a day. It depends. At least once a week, maybe every other week.
Yeah.
But
yes, that's my philosophy. I like a person. I hate people.
I also want to find the socials or whatever for that musician because they played a couple clips from a couple of his songs, and he had a good voice. I liked his sound. It was kind of a little bit alternative.
It wasn't circular and not that attractive like Keith's.
But it sounded like nice music, and he wrote a whole album. They called it a concept album. He said it's not really a concept album, but
it's about his time in the cult.
Yeah. He did it, got some, positive things from it, and then got out, and then 7 months later got a call from one of his friends in it, and they were like, yeah, this shit's kind of going down. You're going to start hearing some news about things. And he was like, okay.
Yeah.
What the heck?
I can imagine. I mean, could you imagine just, you've done
from there
it's actually helped you.
Yeah.
You go in, you've never seen any of this bad stuff. You thought it was a little weird.
Yeah, well, from there he looked back. From there he looked back and was like, well, this was kind of weird and this was kind of weird, and then he just
but you kind of brush it off because you actually feel better about yourself. You're getting help, so you're like, oh, that's okay.
Like the Vanguard thing, like in the classroom or whatever.
That's weird. I'm not calling anybody Vanguard. Yes, Vanguard.
Well, he never actually met Keith. Like a bunch of them never.
Well, that's
purely the give us money. We help you with this.
That's how you create that aura of this godlike person, is that you keep everybody away from him that doesn't know him until you are... until the group has, pretty much brainwashed you into their thinking. And then when you finally meet him, it's like you're meeting, God.
Oh, it's Vanguard. Oh, my God. It's going to be interesting in the coming months to hear... I bet there's going to be more stories of people who...
I bet there's going to be a TLC program hosted by Leah Remini.
Yes. Help us out, Leah. You know this shit.
Yeah.
But I bet you there's going to be more interviews on podcasts, television, maybe people...
By a lot of the ex-members.
Well, maybe
I'm waiting for the first interview from Allison Mack from Behind Bars.
Yeah. Speaking of Leah Remini, that was mine.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I'm not even talking about the ones that were deep into the illegal shit, but ones that did, like the seminars and the weekends and stuff, and then got what they needed or didn't want to give them any more money and came out and, like, was like, oh, that helps. And now they're seeing all
the
this
same
stuff
thing
come out,
is-
and they're like, oh, shit. What the
As
heck?
much money as these people funneled into this company, it was about bankrupt.
Yeah.
They kept getting money from Seagrams.
They're not getting the money.
$1 worth of money. Yeah.
I've had to remain a little quiet because it's just kind of in bad taste to crack jokes about this sort of shit. So.
But
I've refrained from most of it. I've made a couple of cracks here and there, but
yeah.
you know.
Well, don't you think that's going to be interesting in the next few months, next year?
Yeah.
More interviews or more videos, articles from the people who maybe were in it deep or were not in it deep, but they were like, you know, in the seminar thing.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, it was weird. We had to call him Vanguard, and people being like, I never met him, but this was weird and this was weird.
It was weird. He kept putting his dick in my mouth. Sorry. You're welcome.
Second time I've had to obey that.
Man, I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah. So Bradley.
That's the fucked up one.
Jesus.
See, I'm like the one that cracks a joke at a funeral. You know, it's just like,
Yeah, sometimes I have to tell you to be quiet.
yeah. But I think we have beaten a dead horse on this.
We can always cover it later when there's more.
Yeah, we may do a little snippet talking about once we find out what the sentencing for everybody is, and just kind of call back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And when there's more information from individuals out there, like, here's my experience.
You know that people on what is that website? What is it? 4chan?
4chan, Reddit.
Yeah,
Tumblr.
4chan and Reddit are just like chomping at the bit, knowing that there's an Allison Mack porn video somewhere of her diddling herself, because that was one of her collateral.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, 4chan's probably going to be.
Yeah, you know, they're like, where is it? Where is it?
Oh, yeah.
Where's the slight tit in that one movie?
Well, Reddit is like half terrible and then like half great, and then
I have no
Tumblr
idea.
is just real
What's the
fucked up.
movie? I should research this.
I don't know. There may not actually be. I'll describe
What
it
if she
as
does a Reddit AMA? Ask me anything. Allison Max AMA about Nexium from prison on Reddit.
You know,
Ask me anything.
She's talking about 4chan and Reddit, and this is how far behind I am on this stuff. I literally don't know how to access either one.
You just make an account like any other place.
Is it like Reddit.com, or is it an app? What is it?
Yes.
I would fall into that category too.
Well,
because I'm not
Facebook's a
cultured.
website and an app. Like pretty much any social media thing is also
Okay.
an app. Maybe not the best app in the world, but it's you still access it on your
Well, I've
phone.
heard there's good things in Reddit, and there's very
Oh
bad
yeah,
things,
there's
so.
good and then there's really fucking terrible. You gotta, it's a whole thing. Reddit is
Yeah.
kind of fucked up. And Tumblr is
But Matt's a little naive.
4chan. I would not go on 4chan. It's
That's sort of like the dark side of Craigslist.
well, no, it's Reddit and
Just hearing
4chan.
about this like just now. I've never fucking heard of it.
Well, Reddit and 4chan, there's not so many guidelines. There's not so many people watching for things to take it down or monitor. So it's a little more like freeform. So it's like, on some points, it's like, oh, there's more freedom. But then other points, like, oh, there's more
The
freedom.
only reason the first time I ever heard of 4chan was when Gamergate happened, when all these people's personal information over across like the Xbox and PS4 networks and
Yeah.
stuff got released. Personal information, financial information.
I wonder if any of my stuff was hacked. I'm not important
know.
enough. We probably had to
But
actually be so
all that
important.
stuff was released. It was because these hackers got butthurt by something celebrities said.
Yeah, it's some dumb thing.
Yeah. So that's when I first heard about 4chan. I was like,
today getting butt holder.
Someone getting angry at something.
yeah. And then of course there was the celebrity nude leaks, which include Jennifer Lawrence.
That's happened like 3 times. Stop it, guys.
Is it still happening? I figured they would have made that, tightened that shit up by now.
Well, it was iCloud, or is it just it's called iCloud, or is it just called the cloud? The celebrities, they got hacked. Different ones got hacked.
Hey,
twice.
16-year-olds who probably look for this stuff.
Well, this was like a few years ago. Jennifer Lawrence was in, I think, the first group,
Yeah.
and then I think it happened again.
Yeah.
But I guess after that, it was a little more like, okay, y'all, like, you're
Y'all.
giving us this platform to save our shit, you better make it more secure. Because, I mean,
That's what I figured they would have done. But anyway, that's
that'd be
off the main point of this episode.
anyways, how did we get here? What's
I
happening?
don't
Hello?
remember. Oh, yeah, 4chan.
Awesome, Matt,
and
is that
all
you?
Stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Nexium, not the heartburn medicine.
Yeah, Nexium. Well, I guess that'll do it for us this week here at BSF. Anybody else have anything they want to contribute?
I need to go to bed.
I'm uncultured.
Me too.
I'm working on that. Yeah, I'm working on that, people.
Just read more. More Wikipedia.
Yeah, there you go.
Not people, peeps. Not peeps. I'm working on that.
I really hope the audience enjoyed this episode a little bit better because you could actually hear it.
Yeah, we did 2 test
Sorry, I
recordings.
think last week would have been really good content.
It would have. I did everything I could to save that episode.
Connection and,
I did everything short of spending hundreds of dollars to send it to a professional to be done. But everything I did.
If it was like 10 years from now, we would be like, hey, Steve, take care of this for us, because he'd be like on our staff.
I mean,
but
honestly,
right now,
truly, if you had heard the original file, what was released is, heads and tails better.
You should edit in like 30 seconds then and be like, here's what it would have been.
I deleted the main file after I released it because it was just god-awful.
Just too terrible to keep.
So I was just like, well, here, I'll just save this.
Not
Because
even good
normally I'll
enough for
keep
the
the original file in case something happens where it's like, okay, well, I want to go in and I want to do, how about I release this episode of Soaking Nostalgia uncensored? Something like that for future
This one wasn't even
reference.
worth the space in your computer.
So I was just like, done.
Was it worth
Anyway.
the gigabytes?
That's beside the point. So, if you have any questions about this, Google it.
Yeah, don't ask us.
I'd love for them to ask us, but nobody will freaking email us anyway.
Okay, we're not going to do it if you get angry about
I'm
it.
not even really. I'm not real angry. I'm fake angry because it's.
We want
funny.
subscribers. They're
Oh yeah. No, believe me, I love this.
Something's
I'm
happening.
blown away by the amount of subscribers I have.
Yeah, me too.
Love every single one of you. No joke. Love every single one of you.
I mean,
that's come from
unless you're a dick, then
I mean, even the dicks. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for subscribing. Thank you.
I never anticipated, like, me personally, I don't know what everybody else's expectations
I
were.
expected
Mine was
at
like
the
25.
most 100, but that would have taken years. But I'm anyway. Let's close this episode. We can talk
people
about
love
this later.
content.
Yeah.
People
So,
love noise.
Anyway, as always, if you would like to reach around and get us again, I'm sorry. I got caught up in the Nexium cult.
Shit.
You can get us at deadpanbsf@gmail.com, deadpanstudio18@gmail.com, as well as deadpan-studio.com, where you get the episodes. Unless something screws up with the website or iTunes, you'll get it a day early, a night early. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Again.
I've been doing that for 2 days. On my side.
But yeah, so
Hey, that's why I'm
iTunes,
back
Stitcher,
up
Google
today.
Play, TuneIn, Spotify, you can listen to us there, as well as Podbean. I have noticed that Podbean actually is because it's the server, it's the very first website to get the episode released. So
mean, that
even though I've got it set, I even set it backwards to release the episodes at 11:30 because iTunes gets so bunched up at that time that it actually takes a
I think a lot
longer
of stuff
to.
comes out on Mondays.
It probably does.
Jen and Joanne comes out on
We may
Mondays.
change the
So.
release day at some point in the future, but it won't be till after the season's over anyway. But anyway, iTunes eventually puts them out. It's never usually that late. But Podbean, deadpanstudio.podbean.com, right at noon every single day.
Hell yeah.
Every single Monday, I'm sorry.
Yeah, every single day, Jesus.
So,
Oh, shit. That's a lot of content.
hey, there's actually some podcasts out there that do shows 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That's because they
Adam
make.
Carolla.
That's because he's Adam Carolla.
Yeah, and he has a team.
He's got a team and
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably got a freaking kitchen in his studio where he has
probably.
food.
Hey, can you open that?
Why?
Because.
Oh yeah, we need this. Sorry.
So, cults, they're dangerous, they're stupid.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But of course, you probably won't realize until it's too late.
That's right. And the more you know. Anyway,
Or you know.
from us here at Deadpan Studio and BSF, I am one of the hosts, the Matt.
Sir Bradley.
And Cat, bye.
Goodbye, y'all.